All right, so this is how to create a text job and how to run the cutter. So you'll click on this, either the text tool editor up here or over here. It's both in both places, but this one shows both the curved arc, and he doesn't need to learn the path thing, but so if he wants to do an arc text, you can click on that one. But for right now, this is the thing. We're going to click and we'll type Dick Kranzler. Is it C-R-A? Yeah, there we go. So, and then the colors are down at the bottom here. It doesn't really matter because when you're cutting it, it doesn't care what color the font is. But for your own sake, you can change it to black if you want it. And then over here, and these things are always the two things you want to have on the Design Central and the Fill and Stroke Editor. This, you can choose your colors here as well as a stroke, but you don't need strokes because we're just cutting vinyl. So on the tab up here where it has an A, this is just like the Gerber software. It's going to give you the font name, and there's all these fonts, too many of them.
Yeah.
But like, I think Optima's in here. Let's see. I hope he
likes that.
Yeah, he loves Optima. I hope it has Optima. Oh, please have Optima. Crap. I don't see.
You got replaced with something?
Yeah. Crap. I'm gonna have to get him Optima. So here's a font, and okay, so you can either grab the corners here, these big white blocks. Once you touch something, there's these big white blocks. You can scale it, or you can just do everything from here. So if you want a 2-inch tall letter, you put 2 in there, and then it's 100% width, just like in the Gerber. Or if he wants to do 150%, he just types 150. If he wants to put a slant on it, it's in degrees, so you can do 11 degree slant.
What are you hitting over there?
A tab button.
Okay.
So yeah, he could click in here if he wants
Gotcha.
to highlight the thing, but you got to select it all if you're going to do that. The tab button, Dick, is right here. It says TAB, and that will tab. When I click it, it goes to the next menu. Now you have to. There's a way to go backwards, but I'm not going to confuse you right now on doing that. So if you can just follow along. And so right now we're at 2 inches tall. 2 inches tall with 150% width with 11% angle. And right now the character spacing is set at 0%. So it's at its natural spacing. If you want to tighten it up, you can do a negative number or click the down number. So if you want to, these little arrows right here.
Will he know what?
I don't know if this part is probably not. I think this is called kerning normally, which doesn't, but it's just spacing between the letters. So then you can increase it. Right now it's at 8%, 24%, and then if you look, there's a little double arrow right here, and you can click on that and hold the mouse down and drag it. So if you grab that and you just click the left button, it'll drag and change it by sight. So that's that. Okay, so now if we want to cut this thing, we're going to go up to here. It says cut plot. Now I don't know if you can see it, but it's cut plot. And when I hit that button, I have to have whatever I want selected first. So you notice it turns red when it's selected. So that means it's what we're going to do. Now if you have multiple things, you got to make sure they're all selected. And you can do that by left mouse click. So that's your left mouse, this right here, and hold it down and then drag, and it makes a box with dashed lines. And if anything touches that box, it'll get selected. So for instance, let me duplicate this. I'm going to copy it, which is, you can go right mouse click, copy, or you can just hold the control key down. So the CTL or CTRL, if you hold that down and hold it down firm, and then with the left mouse button, grab and drag and it duplicates it, and you just let go of the buttons and there it is. So now, like I said, if you want to send a cut file, you got to select the two things, and you can hold the shift key down. This is the shift key. If you hold the shift key down and click at things, I'm holding the shift key all the way down, and I'm clicking on this one, and I'm going to click on the next one, and it'll highlight. I've got both of them selected right now, and you'll keep selecting them until, so let me grab another one.
So you can skip one.
Yeah, I can skip one. So I'm going to just do these two. I've skipped that one. I'm still holding the shift key down. If I wanted to select it again, I'd keep holding the shift key down and touch the next one. Now I've got all of them selected. Or I can deselect one I don't want. I can do the same thing. Every time you click it, it either turns it on or turns it off for selection. It's pretty simple. Now, if you want to send this to a cut, we're going to go up there and click the cut. Little thing looks like a knife.
All right.
All right, you have to click that one, not the one that looks like a printer, but the one that looks like a knife. Click it, and then it brings up the cut and plot. So right now, these arrows that are at the bottom of the sheet here represent the front edge of your vinyl. So this is like your plotter. If you're standing right in front of it, you are standing in front of the little tiny. So now,
It goes that way?
right, yeah, it goes. It feeds. It's going to feed toward your legs, and so right now it's oriented so that it's cutting it lengthwise. That might be what you want, but if you're vinyl, if you want to use it and it can fit in the 30 or 28 inches that we have available to cut, then we can take this little guy right here. It says rotate. There's a guy that's
All right,
a little figure.
rotate it.
So we can put it so he's standing on his head. And now it'll come out that way. Or you could have it so he's standing on his feet. And now it'll come out that way. So
All right.
you can read
It's
it.
right justified?
And if you want, right now it's right justified. You should be able to move it by just clicking
All right.
wherever you want it to be. Or right here next to the guy standing up is centering. So right now it's justified to a corner. You can go and click it where it's got an arrow on both sides of the block, and it'll automatically center it. At this point you can't move it. And then over here it's going to center to the vinyl, which is the sheet of infinite. The 984 inches is, so we don't want to do that. You never want to use that one. Don't ever use the one with the arrows all around it. Just use either the one that's on the edge there, and like I said, you can move it around like so.
All right.
Or you can have it centered completely. I think Dick's gonna probably want to be able to move it around because he likes to use his material up as much as possible. So, yeah. So if like you had this much space over here,
Yeah.
and then later on you could cut. If you knew that you had like 8 inches here, and this was within that 8 inches, you could go to the left here and move it over, and move the material back and utilize that. I don't recommend doing that, but that is how you can optimize your vinyl, is just by moving this little character upside down or left or right. Just remember that this bottom edge is where you're standing. It's the width of the printer or cutter, and it's the front edge, and your material, it feeds to the front. And all you have to do, so we're going to go, I'm going to try and set this up so that we have, let's see, optimize cut order, a weed border. So I'm going to put that on and leave that on. All right, that should be fine. So this weed border function right here that it's going to automatically put a square around the outside edge that's almost an 1/8 inch. It's maybe it's right at the edge. I'm not sure if what the exact is, but it's going to go ahead and put an outside edge, and I'll show you in a second here. Click done. So
that's 1/10 of an inch?
Yeah, this is 1/10 of an inch for easy weed. Easy weed is going to do a little bit of a square around almost every letter so that you can pluck, but it's not easy when you're used to doing it in a strip. So peeling away the waste. Dick's used to peeling it away in a strip. Actually, I have no idea. I think he makes his own weed borders, to be honest. So he may or may not like that. It does use a little bit more material, but not a lot. I'm going to leave it there because it saves a lot of time. And then So if we wanted, again, if we wanted to just do one, we would go and hit the cut. Now if this cut and plot is not open, because this thing's not open, the production manager, you don't have to launch production manager if you don't want to. But what you can do is if you go and hit the plot, it automatically launches it, and then boom, it's up. So I'm going to send a job, even though we don't have a plotter hooked up right now. I've got it to, I think it's going to keep it. It'll keep it automatically until you delete it. So let's see. Oh, and here's how many passes. So if you needed to do more passes, it come over it twice or 3 times, you could increase the pass count. But
what's the purpose of that?
You would do that if the material was too thick for the blade to go through all the way. So you would need extra passes to kind of get through each time it would go through and change it. So, and right now it's going to remember it's going to ignore the force of the blade. So we could check and change the force within the software of how hard it's pressing onto the vinyl, but it's better that he learns how to do it on the plotter and kind of sets it, and it'll probably stay that way forever. That he'll never really have to change the, some vinyls are a little thicker than others, but he seems to always use the same kind of vinyl. And for my plotter, the difference between just regular vinyl is very, very minuscule. So it might have to, as the blade gets older, he might increase the force just a couple ticks on the force, and we'll have to show you how that's why I had you take that vinyl so that you could practice.
Yeah.
And there's a little test plot thing on the plotter, on the
I saw
print.
that.
Yeah, so you'd put the vinyl in, you'd load the vinyl up, and you might look at a video on how to load vinyl on a CM-300 or CM-300, and it'll show you how to push the material up, what buttons to push, and how to do the test cuts. And once that thing's there and you put the head where it's supposed to be to start, so he's going to dictate where the head starts on the thing, just like his old thing, and just move the arrow key until it's where it is. There may be an origin button, or you may just park it, and wherever you park it, it will start from. With mine, I have to do an origin key, say this is where you start. If I don't do that, then it's going to remember wherever the last time that origin key was is where it's going to try and start. My old plotter over here, it doesn't care. As long as you put the head wherever it is and park it and then hit send, it'll go. So it depends on the plotter. I've never ran his plotter, so. But anyway, so you'd hit send after you know that you want. So we know that this is what I want. And you notice here, there's a black box right here. Now, if you don't have all the colors, if they're not all the same colors, for instance, let's make that one red, and I go to send it from the knife button up here, cut and plot, you notice now it has 2 colors up in the corner. I hope you can see these things. I think you can, yeah. And if I click on it, you notice it has the one there. So you can't, I don't think you can cut them, nope, it doesn't let you do them both at the same time. I'm not sure the function purpose of this, but it's way that it cuts the color. That's the unique thing. It's not the object, it's the color that defines what gets cut first or not, doesn't get cut. So you just got to make sure they're all the same color. So your default color, I'm going to make it black. Anytime you just click on one of these colors without having any tool, it changes the default color to whatever that last touch was. So I'm just going to make it black and leave it like that. So now I'm going to send the job. And Control L is actually what brings it up, but to make things easier, just hit the button up here. And then, so I know that I've got my force set, I got my orientation correct, and I'm going to go ahead and hit send. So. And now it's sending it to the RIP, which is here. And if I click on it, should be there. Come on, where are you? I did hit send, didn't I? Oh, send now, hold in list. Okay, there it is. So, now it's showed up here. Now I think it looks like, let me edit this. Job defaults. Oh, here we go. Hold. Let's see. Okay. Okay. That's what happened. To get rid of a job that's in here, you can just hit the delete key. Now, if you ever see this come up, deleting this setup will also delete all jobs in the setup. Do you want to continue? Say no. Don't ever delete the job setup, or you're screwed. I'll have to load it up again. So, it's unfortunate. It makes it easy to delete it because you can easily hit the wrong key, and so I just hit delete on that to get rid of the job. So I'm going to send it again, and this time, so the difference between send now and hold and list is that right now if I hit send and the plotter is ready to go, it'll start cutting. No problem, just which I think is easiest for Dick. That makes sense, send, doom. But it also, I've set it up so it holds it too. So instead of it deleting after it's done cutting, it will stay in the production manager, so that say he wanted to cut it again, he doesn't have to go back and send it again. It's still sitting there. You can see it. He just double clicks on it. Just double click on the job, and then you'll see there it is. No problem. All the same, and you can hit send again, and it'll send the same exact job. Oh, and it's a good reference too. So for instance, like I don't think he's going to save jobs. I don't think he's going to actually have save as Dick Kranzler's new logo. He's not going to do that. Or Troop Real Estate, he's not going to save a job. He never has in his entire life has he saved a job on that Gerber thing that's being repaired. So that's not his workflow. His workflow is to recreate every single time. He'll just retype it, reset the numbers, the names, but now if I have it so it never ever deletes, then there's always the chance that he can come back and see it. What did he do last time? They'll all say untitled, obviously, because he's not going to save it. But at least you could kind of go down and look at the date here, and when was it sent? Let's see. Does it show the date here? It should show the date. Come on. Status done. Kranzler dimensions, copies, file. Huh. Why does it not show the date?
How do you specify what the columns are labeled?
It automatically has them, but I'm thinking maybe we can change that. I can't remember it not having a date. After output. Let's see if it has.
Huh.
Set up view. I actually don't see. That's interesting. On my new one it does. Well, so I guess if there's a big list of them, and I'll show you an example. So I have now 2 jobs up there. You can see they'll just keep accumulating, but you can double click on them and see the difference. That one's only 2. Double click on this one. It's only 2. It might be safer too if you're going to delete any jobs to do it on this side instead of on that side. It's kind of like a Windows file folder system, but right here at least you could delete and not worry about deleting the setup. The setup is, we don't want to lose that because that's the connection to the plotter. It's not impossible to bring it back. It's just a pain in the ass to have to reload it again. And that's under setup, add setup, plotter, Cam-2 or Cam-300 or CM-300. And that's pretty much it, except the only thing I've changed from the default is the, where is it? Hold function, and under cutter options, let's see, where is it? Cancel. Where's the thing? Huh. I don't see it here. There was the, maybe it's not part of, maybe it's part of the rip and print instead. So that would be under job defaults then. So when I send it here, it has another thing under advanced for weed border. That's the only thing I really have that's kind of different. So if we lost the setup, it's just a matter of adding the setup again under add setup. Make sure it's the cutter. That's it. Very simple. So And Dick, you can, if you don't like this font, you can come here and you can just, as long as it's highlighted up there, as soon as you, it's like if you touch it and then you click on the A, you can go up and you just keep the, push the arrow keys. I'm pressing the arrow key and it's changing the font. That's pretty close to Optima almost. Let me change it back to normal. So that's going to be 100% width with no slant. And the spacing is going to be 0%. And we're at 2 inches tall. So there you go. Now, Dick, if you want to change, if it has to be a specific width and height, right here on the very first tab with the arrows going up and down, or sideways and up and down, you'll see that it's 14.75 inches. So if you need it to be 30 inches, you can put 30 in there. Now you can see that it changes the height as well. Now we're at 4.1 inches instead of 2 inches. Now if it has to be 2 inches by 30 inches, you got to make sure that little arrow right there, it says proportional, is turned off. And now you can change it to 2 inches exactly. So now it's 2 inches by 30 inches, and you can see that it's squashed.
Does he know any of this stuff?
He knows that when he can do it on his old machine. He could force it to be 2 by 30 if he needed to. It would just do that. Now that's why I'm telling him here this proportional part. I'm recording this, and you're gonna have to get. Hopefully we can get it onto the to the computer somehow. But yeah, and that should be it, bud.
Then how do you send this to the